Hello, this video is for IXL Activity A1.F.3. It is titled Area and Perimeter, and they are indeed word problems. The 3-character code for this activity is Echo Foxtrot Alpha. So it says that a rectangle portrait has an area of 36 square feet. Its perimeter is 24 feet. What are the dimensions of the portrait? Well, first, let's go ahead and talk about the formulas for both area and for perimeter, right? So let's go ahead and it says it's a rectangle, so let's go ahead and make a rectangle. And let's remember that area, the formula for area, is equal to the length times the width. Kind of a tough-looking L there, I guess. And then our perimeter is equal to, let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's go ahead and write this as 2 times length plus 2 times the width. That would be for perimeter. Now what we know is that the area is 36 feet. So area equals, and to be exact, it's 36 feet, in this case, square. So we have 36 square feet. And we know that the perimeter is equal to 24. And this is just linear feet, right? Just distance, not area. So we know the distance around the outside is 24. If we start here at the corner and we measure one side, the other side, the other side, the other side, then we know that we have the perimeter. We also know that this side up here that we'll call X would be equal to this side X, and then whatever the length is here, Y, would also be equal to Y. We know that for a rectangle, opposite sides are congruent to one another. That means the same length. And we also know that it has 4 right angles, so it would look something like this. Now we know that for area, we're going to multiply length times width. So we're looking for the area is equal to X times Y, right? And whenever we do that, we're going to get a value of 36, whatever that X and Y is. But we also know that the perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Well, let's go ahead and do this. Check this out. Our perimeter is 24. So let's go ahead and put in 24 for P. Make that equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Now, we can rewrite this right side of the equation over here. 24 equals, and let's factor a 2 out. So let's take 2 out, and that's going to leave behind the length plus the width, right? Well, we could divide both sides by 2. Correct. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by 2. That's going to cancel those 2's. 24 divided by 2 is going to be 12 equals, and in this case, we're going to have length plus width. So now we're looking for some number where in length and width are kind of like X and Y, I guess we could call those. Let's go ahead and rewrite this as 12 equals, and our length we're calling X, and our width we're calling Y. So we're looking for some numbers that whenever we add them, and let me correct this, I just realized I made a boo-boo there. Hey, boo-boo, I think I smell a picnic basket. So I need some numbers where X and Y, when you add them together, you get 12, and when you multiply them together, you get 36. Well, right now you're probably thinking, oh, that would be 6, right? Because 12 equals 6 plus 6. And whenever I say 6, it would actually be 6 for both of them. And over here, 6 times 6 indeed equals 36. So if Y equals 6 and X equals 6, then this would work out. 6 times 6 is 36, and 6 times 4 equals 24, so that would indeed be our perimeter. So it turns out to be that this is actually a square. Remember, squares are indeed rectangles, so whenever it says that it is a rectangle, they would still be correct. Just because it's a square doesn't mean it's not a rectangle. Remember, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and look at the next one. The area of a train ticket is 50 square centimeters, and the perimeter is 30 centimeters. What are the dimensions of the ticket? So we have here a train ticket, and let's go ahead and draw our train ticket here. We want to know what are the dimensions. In this case, we're going to have length times width to get area. Again, area, oh, get a pen back, there we go. Area is equal to length times width, and perimeter is equal to, let's go ahead and just write it as 2 times the quantity of length plus width. We could do it that way as well. We're doing the 2 times L plus 2 times W, and then factoring the 2 out and writing it as 2 times the quantity of the length plus the width. So with that said, let's see what we got here. The area of the train ticket is 50 square centimeters. So we know that the area is 50, and that's going to be from multiplying the length times the width. And again, I forgot a 0, so let me go and put that in. Okay, 50 is the area, and we know we get that from length times width, and then our perimeter is 30. So 30 equals 2 times length plus width. Now, I just want to know length and width. So again, we're going to go ahead and divide by 2, and you're going to find out we're going to be doing a lot of this dividing the perimeter by 2, and so that we can go ahead and get it to where we have some number equals whatever length plus width is. Now, we should be trying to think of 2 numbers where we have 15 is equal to length plus width, and 50 is equal to the length times width. Can you think of any? Let's just try to plug and chug and guess. Well, 10 and 15 come to mind real easy like, right? 10 and 5, 10 and 5 is 15. So our length 10, width 5, that checks out. Now if we do length times width, 10 times 5, indeed that is 50. That's 50 centimeters squared. And then is our perimeter indeed equal to 30? 10 plus 10 is 20. 5 plus 5 is 10. 20 plus 10 is 30. So indeed this checks out. So we have 10 by 5. Here we have the area of a rectangle cutting board is 80 square inches. So let's go ahead and get our rectangle cutting board here. And next thing we're going to do is the area is 80 square inches. So we're going to put 80 inches squared. So we know that's our area. The cutting board is 10 inches long. So it's 10 inches long. How wide is it? So they want to know how wide is this right here. Well, first of all, we need to start thinking about the length times the width to get us to 80. What could that be? Well, what about 8 by 10, right? If we have this here is 8, would that work out? They want to know how wide it is. And make sure we have everything. Area is 80. The cutting board's 10 inches long, 10. So how wide is it? Well, some number times 10 would be 80, and that would be 8. So it is indeed 8 inches wide. On the next one, a square classroom has sides that are 22 feet long. So let's go ahead and make a square. Remember, anytime that you have word problems, often it's a good idea to go ahead and draw a picture of it, right? So it has sides that are 22 feet long. Each side is 22 feet long. What is the room's perimeter? So that's distance around the outside. So we'd actually have 22 on all 4 sides. So we put all that there. And basically we have 22 times 4, right? 122 for a 22 for each of the 4 sides. So 4 groups of 22. Well, 22 times 2 is 44. Double that, we get 88. So in this case, it is 88 feet. Next question, a rectangle closet is 5 feet wide, 4 feet long. What is its perimeter? So instead of drawing a picture, let's go with perimeter is equal to 2 times the quantity of the length plus the width. Now let's just substitute in our values. We want to know what P is. 2 times, in this case, length is 5 and width is 4. So we end up with perimeter is equal to 2 times 9, and therefore P equals 18. On the next one, the perimeter of a square patch of grass, key phrase there, square, so we know all 4 sides are equal to one another, is 64 meters. The perimeter of a square, so the perimeter, let's go ahead and put P equals, and for perimeter of a square, we're just going to have the side length times 4. So 4 4s, 4 times the side, correct? And now let's go ahead and plug in what we know. We know the perimeter is 64. It's asking us what is each side. So let's bring down our 4s. And now let's go ahead and divide both sides by 4. And the 4's will cancel each other, leaving me with s. And 64 divided by 4. Well, 10 of those would get me to 40. That would leave me another 24. What would that be? 16, I guess. Right? And I could double check that. 16 times 4. 6 to 12, 32. Carry the 3. 72. Something ain't right. Let me double check that again. 40, 24, 8, 6. Hold on. Oh, I carried too much over here. That's what the problem is. It's only me. I'm pretty sure that's right. My mental math is correct over here. 24 carry a 2. There we go. 64. Outstanding. I'm just, what? I'm carried 3. All right. So good to go there. And let's look at the next one. Kylie's dining room is 5 meters wide and 5 meters long. So, and let's see what else they're asking. Perimeter or area. Kylie wants to install new wood floor. It will cost $2.48 per square meter. So square meter, we're looking for what? Area, correct? How much will Kylie's new floor cost? So we know that area is equal to length times width. So let's go ahead and plug those values in. Area is equal to 5 times 5. Therefore, area is equal to 25. And that is 25 meters squared. And it costs $2.48 for each. So we need to take 25, the area, and we need to multiply that times that $2.48. And I'm going to go ahead and use a calculator for that one. So 2.48, and I want to multiply that times 25, and I'm going to get $62. That equals 62. That is dollars, 62. Go ahead, since it's dollars, I'll go ahead and put in my decimal and my zeros. IXL will go ahead and give you credit. If you just type in 62, they'll give you credit. However, on money issues, whenever you're doing money answers in IXL, let's say this were $62.50, which it's not, it's 62, but if it were $62.50, you would actually have to put in 62.50. If you leave that zero off and just do 62.5, it will give you an incorrect answer. Since it's money, they actually want the decimal there. But if it's even dollars, they'll take 62. You can put it in there. So a restaurant chef wants to install a new kitchen floor in his kitchen. You'll find a lot of these area questions talk about putting in new flooring someplace. The kitchen measures 8 yards wide by 11 yards long, and the flooring costs $7.04 per square yard. So we are talking about area, right? It's squared. How much will the chef's new floor cost? So we know that area is equal to length times width. So let's plug in those values. Area is equal to, I guess 11's longer than 8. We'll call 11 the length, and we'll call 8 the width. So in that case, we're going to have an area of 88. 88 what? 88 yards squared. Now it is $7.04 a yard, so we're going to take $7.04, and we're going to multiply it by the number of square yards, which in this case is 88. And whenever we do, I'm not going to mental math that, 7.04, and we're going to multiply that times 88, and that's going to come to $619.52. So 619.52. Next question. Each side of a square painting is 209 centimeters long. A frame shop charges 7 cents per centimeter for a metal frame. How much would it cost to buy a frame for the painting? So in this case, we know that it's square. So we know they're all four the same length. So let's go ahead and look at, and we're wanting a distance around the outside, right? And notice there's nothing about square in here, area. So at that rate, we know that perimeter is equal to 4 times the length of a side for a square, and this is indeed a square. So each side of the painting is 209. So they're giving us a side length right here. This is not the total perimeter. This is a side length. So P equals 4 times 209. And let's go ahead and do that. P equals 836. 836. Pretty sure. Let's go ahead and check that. 4 times 209. It's 836 indeed. Now, that is for centimeters. And now they charge 7 cents per centimeter. So I need to take 0.07, multiply that times 836 to see what that's going to give me. And I guess that's dollars, so I'll throw a dollar sign on there. 0.07, going to multiply that times 836, and that is going to give me $58.52. So we'll go ahead and put that in for our answer, 58.52. Looking at the next one. All right, this one's going to be fun. A rectangular jewelry store has a perimeter of 250 feet and an area of 3,526 square feet. What are the dimensions of the store? So let's first go ahead and draw this one out. It is a rectangle, they say. Could be a square, but square is a rectangle, so we're okay. So let's go ahead and draw that out. We know that the perimeter equals 250, and we also know that the area is equal to 35. I'm just going to write it in here. 3526, and this is feet squared. Okay, so what do we know about perimeter? Well, we know that the formula for it is that P equals 2 times the quantity of the length plus the width. And now let's go ahead and substitute 250 in there, right, for P. P equals 250, so we're just going to substitute the 250 for the P. So bring that down. 250 equals 2 times the quantity of length plus width. Now again, we're going to go ahead and divide by 2. What we do to one side, we do to the other. The 2's will cancel each other. 250 divided by 2 is 125. And the 2's cancel each other, leave me with length plus width. So I know that the length plus the width should equal 25. So we have that. Now what we know about the area is that area is equal to 3526. We know the formula for area. Area equals length times width. So let's go ahead and substitute 3526 for A in the formula. So 3526 equals length times width. So now we have to find two numbers that whenever we add them together over here, we're going to get 125. And whenever we multiply those same two numbers together, we're going to get 3526. So let's just start taking some numbers and guess, right? So let's do 100 plus 25. And this would equal 125. So let's go ahead and try 100 times 25. And we would get 2,500. Well, the addition checks out, but the multiplication's not. So we're just kind of doing guess and check, working our way through. So we know it's not 125. Let's go down. Let's take 100 down to 90. So we took off 10 there. That means we need to add 10 to the other, 35. 90 plus 35 is indeed 125. So now let's do 90 times 35. So 90 times 35 equals 90 times 35 equals 3150. So we came up from 2,500 to 3,150, and we notice that that value is indeed getting greater, but we still need to get up to 3526. So let's go ahead and go to 85. Let's try 85. 85, and that's a funny looking 85 there. I'm trying to figure out where I want to squeeze this in. Let's go ahead and let's work in this area. I'm just going to move this over to here. So let's go ahead and try 85. So we'll go 85, and we want to add to it. So I went down 5, so I need to add 5, 40. So 85 plus 40, yep, that indeed equals 125. So what if I have 85 times 40? And whenever I do that, I'm going to get, let's see, 85 times 40. 85 by 40. That gives me 3,400. 3,400. Well, 31, I went up to 34, 3,150, up to 3,400. I'm trying to get to 3,526. So let's see. Let's let that number keep going down. Let's try 80. 80 plus, well, I took off 5, add another 5 to 40. I would get 45, right? 80 plus 45, yep, it is indeed 125. So let's see. 80 times 45. 80 by 45. And I get 3,600. 80 times 45 equals 3,600. Well, I went from 3,400 whenever it was 85 and 40. Now with 80 and 45, it gets me to, oh, not 360, 3,600, which is now greater than that. So I know my number's somewhere between 85 and 80. Well, let's see here. I need to find a way that maybe guess and check won't work. Now, I could probably go ahead and do somewhere between 80 and 85. Let's go ahead and do the guess and check. I got something really cool I want to show you with the calculator, but before we do that, let's go ahead and do that. So let's try 83. Let's go ahead and try 83. 83 plus, and what would it be? 42? 5, yep, 12, 125. That indeed is 125. So let's go ahead and do 83 times 42, and let's see what we get there. So 83 times 42. 83 times 42 equals 3486. 3486. Well, let's see. I'm too low. This here's 80. I'm at 83. 85 would have kept me too low. So it looks like I need to go toward the 80 maybe to get a little bigger. So let's try 82, right? Let's try 82 plus, what is that, 43? Yep, that would be 125. So now let's go ahead and do 82 times 43. And looky there, 82 times 43 equals 3526. 3526. So we now see that if we have 82 and 43, so 82 and 43, if these were the dimensions, then whenever we add them together, remember we divided by 2 here, so 82 plus 82 plus 43 plus 43, if we add all that together, we would come to 250. Remember, 125 came from dividing both sides by 2 on the perimeter. And then we just started guessing and checking with numbers that equaled 125. Started with 100, went to 90, went to 85, went to 80, found out that was too much, so we changed to 83, went to 82, and finally, sure enough, 82 was it, and 43 was the other side. So 82 and 43. Now, there's another way that you could have done this using a graphing calculator. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. I'm going to go ahead and erase all of this here. And we'll leave our one true answer there, the 82 one. Now, let's take this 3526 length and width, and let's think of length is x and width is y. So 3526 would be equal to x times y. And we want x and y, right? Same way equals 25 over here. We want x plus y to equal 125. And now I want to solve for y. I do want the y by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by x. And whenever I do that, I can go ahead and write this as 3,526 divided by or over x, right? These from here to here, I just changed it, solving for y. And I want x and y to equal that. Now, I've done this for a reason, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight all this, and I'm going to move this over because we need to be able to see that on the left side of the screen, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in my graphing calculator. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my graphing calculator here, and I'm trying to get rid of that border at the bottom. It doesn't want to, oh well, just disregard it. I got all this at the bottom now. It's distracting me. But at any rate, so we're going to go to the y equals. We're going to graph this. We're going to get into the y equals here, and we're going to put in this y equals 3,526 divided by x. So y equals 3,526 divided by, where's that x at? Oh, up here. There, divided by x. Now we're going to go ahead and graph it. I'm going to hit this graph button right there, and this graphs it. Now I'm going to use the trace feature. I've got the graph of that function graph there. Now I'm going to use the trace button, and you see the numbers down here at the bottom. Right now, x is at 32.7, y is at 107.7, and everything along this line is, if you multiply whatever the x is times whatever the y is, it's going to equal that 3,526, because I know that y equals 3,526 divided by x. So basically this graph represents that function there. But I want x and y to equal 25. If I touch it, my calculator will go away, so I'm not touching it to highlight it. But right here, x plus y equals 25. Well, right now I got 32 plus 107. Right? Well, that would be 139 something, 140. The decimal would take us over. So I'm going to go ahead and go over, and remember I guessed 100. I guessed 125, and that didn't do it. And plus 100 plus 35 would be more than 125. So I know I need to keep going to where these numbers keep getting lower. Let's go down to where one of them's 90. So if I got 90 plus 38 would be 128. That would still be too much. So I'm going to keep going. And let's go to like 85. Another tap there, maybe one more. Yeah, 84.9. That's about 85. So 85 plus 40 right there would be 85, 125, like 126. So it's still just a little too much. So I'm going to go over, let's try 84. 84, almost 84, and this is just about almost 42. So that would be 126, right? So we're still one too far. Let's go to what would be like 83. So 82.8 is almost 83. 42.5, so 83, 40, this would be just about it. So you're thinking, okay, maybe it's 82 and 43. And right there, so this is just a little over 82. Add that onto there. That would be, take that maybe up to 43. So you could try 82, 43, and sure enough, you would find out that it would come along there. So you could either guess and check, or you could go ahead and put it into a y equals and solve for y, and then enter it into the stat plot there, and then graph it into your y equals there, and then graph it, and then follow the graph until your x and y values added up to whatever that number is that you were looking for. All right. So pretty cool, I think. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. The area of a rectangular building is 5,225 square meters. The perimeter is 300. What are the dimensions of the building? Okay, this is like the last problem, only I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. And we'll go ahead and draw our rectangular building. And we know that the perimeter is equal to 300. So perimeter equals 300. And area is equal to 5,225. If you want, you could always pause the video, see if you can solve it, and then go ahead and resume it and see how well you did. So I know that area, in this case, 5,225 is equal to, and I'm going to call it x and y, okay? X times y. This is x, we'll call this y, or length and width. And I know that perimeter is 300, and that equals 2 times the quantity of x plus y. Now let's go ahead and divide both sides by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. And in this case, the 2's will cancel. 300 divided by 2 is 150 equals, and I'm left with x plus y. So I'm looking for two numbers that whenever I add them together, I'm going to get 150. And whenever I multiply them together, I'm going to get 5,225. Well, right away, what's a couple numbers that you think of? Let's try obvious ones, 100 times 50, right? Because 100 plus 50 is 150. And this is going to give us 5 with 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So it's not 100, so let's go the other direction. Let's go down 10. Let's go to 90, and we went down 10. Let's go up 10 and go to 60. Okay? Well, in this case, 9 times 6 is 54, and throw on the 2 zeros, and now it's too much, right? Too great of a number. Notice that this last digit is 5 in the area, so I probably got some kind of a, think of multiples of 5 whenever you add. So if you think of that, well, let's go ahead and try right smack in the middle between 100 and 90. Let's go at 95. 95 and 95 plus, what, 55 would equal 150. So let's go ahead and try 95. 95 times 55, and that equals, go figure, 5,225. So at first 5,000 wasn't enough, so I could have gone to 110. I could have tried 110 times 40 and tried that, but I chose to go down to 90 and up to 60, and that brought me to 5,400. I know that number's too big, so now working with that first digit there, instead of 100 or 90, I'm going to try 95. And I was pretty sure I was correct because I knew in the ones place I got a 5 here, and I got a 5 here, and whenever I multiply 5 times 5, I'm going to get 25. And indeed, I knew that that ones place there was also a 5 as well. So my numbers are going to be 95 and 55 would be my answer. So one side's 55, the other one's 95. It doesn't matter. You could have put 95 in the first box, 55 in the second, either way. All right, last two questions are going to deal with ratios. So let's go ahead and talk about this. It says a rectangle. So again, let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. Get that rectangle there. And it says that its length to width are in a ratio of 7 to 4. So this isn't saying that the length is 7 and the side is 4, the width is 4, but it is saying that the length to width ratio is equal to 7 to 4. So length is to width, and ratio here 7, 4. I have to use 7 for the length and 4 for the width because they said length first, then width. So this is going to be the length, then this is going to be the width. Now, the area is equal to 252. So area 252. That's the magic number that we are looking for. Well, does 7 times 4 equal 252? No. 7 times 4 equals 28. So we know they're going to be longer, right? So let's go ahead and find a factor to multiply 7 and 4 by. It would still have the same ratio. We just want the numbers to have greater values. So let's go ahead and multiply times 2. All right, let's try that. So 7 times 2 is 14. And 4 times 2 is 8. So what if it was, instead of 7 and 4, what if we instead had 14 and 8? Let's try that out. I don't think that's going to be quite enough. 14 by 8 equals, in this case, 14 times 8 equals 112. So not enough. We need to keep going. So let's go ahead and multiply 7 times 3 to get 21. And multiply 4 times 3 to get, 12, right? So what if it were 21 and we multiplied times 12? Well, 21 times 12 equals 252. Indeed, there it is, 252. So we know that the length, now be careful, it does make a difference where you put these in. We know that the length, because the ratio is 7 to 4. So we know the length is the one that's 21, and the width is the one that is 12. All right. Let's look at the last question here. Rectangle, length and width. Let's go ahead and look at that. So we have a rectangle, we have a length, and we have a width, and it is 17 to 3. So length comes first, the 17 comes first, width comes second, the 3 comes second, so that is our width here. The perimeter is 80. We're looking for P equals 80. So in this case, remember that perimeter, let's go ahead and just plug that in. Perimeter is 80. And what's the formula for it? 2 times length. Let's use x and y, plus x and y, where we'll call our length is x and our width is indeed y. So with that said, let's go ahead and divide both sides by 2, and we would get 40 equals x plus y. And that's not a y, that is a 7. Now, the next thing I want to know is the numbers I have so far are 17 and 3. Right? So 17 plus 3. Does this equal 40? No, indeed it does not. So let's take that ratio of 17 to 3, and then let's go ahead and multiply it. Well, let's go ahead and multiply it times 2, right? So what is that, 34? And times 2, 6. So let's try that. Does 34 plus 6, does this equal 40? Indeed it does. This checks out. So we know that the sides are not 17 and 3, but they are instead 34 and 6. So our length is 34 and our width is 6. So that pretty much covers all of the types of questions that you're going to find in this particular activity, and that means that that completes all of my examples for IXL A1.F.3 Area and Perimeter word problems. Good luck with your activity.